And turning back to the big story out of Tennessee, joining us now is the former Tennessee State Representative, Justin Jones. He was one of two black lawmakers expelled yesterday. It's good to have you on this morning. Thank you for being on. So tell us what you make of what happened to you yesterday and what are your plans moving forward?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on today. It was a very disturbing day yesterday to see the undoing of democracy, to see the ousting of myself and Representative Pearson, the two youngest black lawmakers in Tennessee. I think what we are facing now is something that will set a precedent in the nation for democracy. And so I'm exhausted, but I'm also I'm hopeful because I saw thousands of people, and in fact, people across this nation, I would say millions, who are paying attention to what happened and are challenging it, saying that it was wrong, and saying that we must challenge it in the courts, as we will. We'll challenge it at the ballot box in the special election. And I don't think that what happened yesterday is ultimate, that there are means of redressing that wrong that happened and occurred to democracy.
Representative Jones, Reverend Al Sharpton, first let me congratulate you and your two colleagues for your courage. The thing that I'm concerned about that I want you to address is that we don't lose focus on the cause. And that is that you and your colleagues have made this sacrifice around the issue of gun violence. Next weekend, the National Rifle Association is having its convention in Indianapolis. At the same time, we're having our National Action Network convention in New York, and Vice President Harris and others will be, among other things, talking about gun violence. We're certainly going to try to have you guys come up. The issue of gun violence crosses racial lines because you were protesting at a school that was not an HBCU. This is Covenant School. And these people are insensitive about kids of their own race, 9 years old. What has impressed me about the protest, and some of us may be joining you Monday, is the intergenerational and interracial aspect of the protest. I saw people of all races and ages out there every day standing up, including yesterday. Address the universal nature of why you're so concerned about gun control and how this is an issue that you become to symbolize, but that goes in everyone's household.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Sharpton. I mean, this issue that drove us to the well was trying to say that we don't want our children gunned down in schools. That's what this was about. And when we had thousands of young people come to the state capitol last week saying, we want to live, do you hear us? Will you do something? And my colleagues would not even talk about the issue. The House Speaker cut off any debate on the issue. We couldn't even bring it up. He cut off our microphones if we talked about gun violence. We went to the well and got in good trouble because we had no other choice or alternative. This issue, I've seen, it's been the largest protest in Nashville in a decade. People from all, it's multiracial, intergenerational, because people are saying that our children are not worth these weapons of war in our streets. You know, we can pass common sense guns that the majority of Tennesseans support, but rather than an assault weapons ban, they've assaulted democracy. I mean, it's my community. I represented a part of Nashville, and we're still grieving. We're still mourning. A week later, we were asking for action, and their first action is not to pass common sense gun laws. It's to expel their colleagues, the two youngest black lawmakers in the state of Tennessee, and that's wrong.
Representative Jones, this is Gene Robinson. What is there a possibility, it was raised earlier, that you could actually be reappointed to your seat? And if not, would you run for it again?
You know, definitely look at legal, you know, I believe that what happened was unconstitutional, challenging it in the courts. We'll look at, you know, going to the ballot box in a special election. This council is also meeting on Monday to appoint an interim. And so the question is, will they seat us? Because, you know, we've heard from the other side that they may not seat us, even if our council appoints it, even if we win a special election, that they won't even allow us to be seated. And so then we'll see another affront to democracy that we saw with Julian Bond, you know, when he was a young man in Georgia, when they refused, the legislature refused to seat him. And so, you know, I don't know what to expect from this body, but I hope that the nation sees, and the alarm is blaring loud, because if it can happen in Tennessee, it can happen anywhere. And they set a very dangerous precedent going forward. This is the first expulsion for First Amendment activity in Tennessee. All other expulsions, the other three, over 200 years, have been around criminal or unethical behavior, never for a breach of a rule, never for a breach of decorum. You know, a simple breach of decorum resulted in expulsion. It's so extreme and unprecedented.
Representative Jones, it's Jonathan Capehart. I look forward to seeing you on the Saturday show tomorrow, but I'm glad I get the opportunity to ask you this question now. I was stunned by the lopsided nature of your expulsion by the vote, and it left me to wonder, do you believe there will be any electoral repercussions for the Republicans, and particularly those in leadership, for what they did to you, Representative Pearson, and to a certain extent to Representative Johnson, who, while she wasn't expelled, she was put through this process?
I think there's definitely going to be repercussions. They've lost an entire generation of voters in Tennessee. They've lost the moral narrative. I mean, I had Republicans sending me letters, coming by my office throughout the week saying, thank you for standing up for our children. You know, and so I think people are awakened. They saw extremism on full display. I think it's going to hurt them. The Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, wants to be governor. I think that he can, you know, kiss that dream goodbye, because the nation have seen what an extreme occurrence occurred, you know, in the Tennessee Chamber yesterday. It was a public and political lynching. It was an attempt to humiliate us, but what they did was really show for the world and humiliate themselves that this is not a democracy, that this is, you know, a body that is so petty and so weak and so built on white fragility that when we go forward, I think people are going to remember that, especially those young people, and that's what's going to make them afraid. That's why they try to expel us. It wasn't about us. It was about expelling the voices of those young people, expelling a movement, and they've done the opposite.
Expelled Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, I suspect we will be seeing you again very often. Thank you so much for being with us.